Mine? Hi,
No,
party
mine.
people. Welcome to Black Genius. My name is Oluwaseye Olusa. I'm your host, and I'm here with my brother, love of my life, Oluwaseye, the man, the one and the only. Nobody likes Sheye. Everybody loves you, right? The $1 million smile. How
So,
you doing today?
hey, I'm great, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Where you at?
Brooklyn, New York, in
Brooklyn.
my
You're our first New Yorker.
in my home office.
Our first true New
Mm.
Yorker.
Yes.
So how has New York been? How's it been for you as an artist, as a photographer? I know you've still been out there working with your mask on. How
Yeah,
has
so
COVID impacted you?
it's pretty much it forced us to switch how we do business. Like there's been a bunch of things that I had plans in doing this year and going into next year, but with the COVID, it made us had to jump into all those plans like right now. Because
Okay.
I do a lot of my photography has always been working with entertainers and musicians and also doing live events. I do a lot of work with the UN and people like that. So unfortunately, all that business died. I'm
Mm.
starting, and I also have like a portraiture business
A what
that
business?
I shoot portraits too, like
Yes,
people,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
do branding, headshots, but I haven't been focused on that in the past few years. So now that's more of a bigger thing. That's like the thing that like I can get someone to come into the studio and shoot them one-on-one. If it's a family, I can get them to come in and everyone is safe. We're well sanitized with, and we just go right
And you
in and
just do
out.
your thing.
No
How has
touch,
it
no
been for
bleeding.
you in the streets? What is New York looking like right now? Is everything back open? I heard people were going to
Yeah,
restaurants last weekend.
things are opening up. It's actually kind of scary if you ask me because it seems like people are walking around like it's almost back to normal. I see some people wearing masks, but I definitely see a lot that are not.
Wow.
And that to me is very scary. Wait,
And
record.
how long have you lived in New York now? Or you've been between, let's say, how long have you lived in the tri state? Because you've been between New York and Jersey for a minute.
Yeah, ooh, I've been living in New York since like 92.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your story, and that was when you came from Niger.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've done recently that you're excited about. And then I want to go into your origin story. So I know
Okay.
you were saying how, all the UN stuff, all that stuff that got canceled. There was some really dope shit you were working on. You didn't mention
What's that?
that got floored. The Yvonne Orji project.
Wait, is it me or are we frozen? Can I see you? Can you see me?
I could see you. It might
Okay.
be your internet.
Okay, I'm good. Go on.
No, I was just saying that I know you had a lot of crazy projects, in the works before COVID happened, and I want you to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you did recently that you're really, proud of. Because you shot Jidenna's cover, right?
No, I did not.
Oh, I thought you did.
I
What? Tell
did.
me some of the stuff that you. I mean, you've definitely
I
shot
worked
him.
with him. I did a bunch of portraits during the projects, like when we did the videos, and I filmed a lot of like behind the scenes for him. And
Okay.
yes, that was what I did. The last big thing that I was working on was actually the key art for Yvonne's show, Mama I Made It, which was her comedy special on HBO. We were
Hmm.
scheduled to shoot that, and that was a really good job. I was excited. We were scheduled to shoot that in LA, and a week before the shoot, we had the shutdown or the
That was
lockdown.
so painful to
So
hear.
that was very painful.
Okay, but like I wrote in your bio, you've done a lot of dope stuff with, you started out with Hype Williams, you've done a lot of dope shit with Def Jam and Nike, Adidas. It seems like there's nobody that you haven't photographed that's done some dope stuff. So let's go
What was it?
back to the start. You're an Ibadan boy, is that right?
Born and raised, yeah.
Born and partially raised, but you have that British accent because you made a little trip over across the
Yeah,
lake at one point.
I was the bottom boy that went to boarding school in England. So we would come home. I met I did boarding school. I did prep school for about 4 years. So we would go back and forth and come home every Christmas and every summer.
Okay.
Every Easter, like we would stay in some apartments in London, like with my 2 older brothers.
How old were you when you moved to London?
Whew. I wasn't 10 yet.
Okay.
So I might have been like 9.
What was that like for you? What was your immediate sort of reaction to the UK?
I'm free. No, I loved it. I loved it because, I mean, I was born and raised in Nigeria up till then. And even like the holidays, like we never really traveled that much. Like our parents would go, but we would always stay with relatives or with grandma. So that was like the first time that I was out on my own, and they just dropped me off and peace. And I loved it, you know. As soon as they turned around and got in the car, they were gone, and I was like, "Hey, new life, new friends."
What was the makeup like at the school you were in the UK?
What do you mean?
Racially, culturally?
Well, I don't know if I saw any black people my first day. How about that? But there was probably about 2%, 2% black. And
I mean, that sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot for UK.
It might have even been like 1%. Like in a school, like let's say if we had 300 students, probably 10 of those were black.
Okay.
And out of those 10, 9 were probably Nigerians.
But you said that they were not Nigerians born and raised in Nigeria. That's what you told me the other day.
Some were not.
Okay.
Some were.
What was that dynamic like?
There was probably about 4 of us that traveled back to Nigeria. Everyone else were Nigerians that, you know, lived in London and their parents, yeah.
Like born and raised. So what was that dynamic like between those of you who started in Nigeria and those who started in the UK in that small number?
You know, at that age, it really didn't matter.
Okay.
Really, like,
everybody was cool.
Yeah, we were cool. It wasn't like we were cliquish. Like with me, I was never like I had to hang out with like the 3 or 4 Nigerians that, you know. And again, like the years were spread out. So I just blended into the.
And then you went back to Ibadan for boarding school.
No, I went back like my last 3 years or 4 years of high school. Like 3 years in one term.
Okay, so you were in the UK for quite a long period then, because you said you were in boarding school like 4 years.
Yeah, I think I went back to Nigeria when I was like right before I turned 14.
Okay.
Around 13, 14.
Okay. And then you finished out high school and then came to the States.
Yes, ma'am.
You were telling me about how you know, you were cool. Everybody sort of looked out for you or whatever in your boarding school in Nigeria, and you were the guy who always had the magazines.
Let me rephrase that again. My school was like in Nigeria was a 50% boarders and 50% day students. So I was a day student. So it was a boarding school that also had day students. And being that I lived in Ibadan, I got to go home every day.
Okay.
But I kind of, for some weird reason, I clicked a lot more with the boarders.
Okay. And how did you start collecting magazines? How did you get into, you know, storytelling? You were telling me about your GQ collection and, you know, how that was all that you were into back in those days.
No, I mean, I think back then it was just a thing. Maybe it was like an Ibadan thing, but like we just always like, that was the thing. Like if you had the magazines, you were cool because everybody wanted to read them. Like everybody wanted to borrow your magazines. So we had car magazines. We had all like the music magazines. Like I think it was the something Beats. I don't know. Can't remember now. But I definitely remember GQs. GQs was like a big thing with the GQ magazines and the comics.
Okay.
Beano, top of all those ones.
So what
comics
was your, say that again?
The comics were definitely big too.
Okay, so Ibadan comics, magazines, and then
images. I loved images. I think it just took me into like a different world. I love the fashion, just staring at it.
Taking it in.
I think it's just things that it's just everything that like little boys do, you know, like you look at the cars, like, wow, my car, that's my car. And then you look at the GQs, like when I think of it now, we really should not have been that much into materialistic things. Like, what do we know about Rolex watches back then? But we were looking at them like, yo, we want this. I want that tag. I want this. We were just all into those things. We'd use all magazines back and forth.
So why did your parents send you to the States?
I don't know, better education, higher education. Like, it just seemed like the next step. They wanted to have something better for us, I suppose.
And what was that transition? Say that again.
They wanted us to experience other things. Like, I've done England, I did Nigeria. That just seemed like the next thing. Just
hopping all over the world, like.
And my mom at that point, my mom was here actually, so that helped.
Okay.
That decision.
So talk about your first day in America, because I know you remember it
clearly. I can probably find that picture somewhere that we took at the airport. I just remembered I had on like the baggiest. I think my clothes were baggy, super baggy. I got off. I had a bunch of coins and I just had all kind of currency on me. And I stopped by the magazine stand and I picked. It was at that point. It was a premiere copy of Vibe magazine that had it had Tretch from Naughty by Nature on the cover, black and white, and the image was shot by Albert Watson, who's actually now one of my ultimate favorite photographers. Okay. So I remember being stunned and just buying it. I just loved the image. I gave the guy all the coins that I had in my hand, and he picked out all the American ones because it was just all the coins. 3 cents. I had British coins. He just picked out the ones that, and he gave me back everything else. And I had that vibe. And I still have it. Yeah. You don't have it close by, do you? No, not close by. Over the years, I've been forced to get rid of all my magazines. I was one of those guys that could not throw anything away. I still have a lot in storage. So you were starting, I want you to talk about the next step after you arrived in the States. It was about college. And you started college to study. You wanted to go down the medical path, like all good Nigerian children. Yes, you wanted to be a doctor. It was the right thing to do. So I was in school, I was studying to be an anesthesiologist. I wanted to make my family proud. And it just got to a point where after like my second year, I started realizing that I was just cramming to pass. I was getting by. And this 1 year, everything was straight. I was on the Dean's list. I was on my way. At this point, I was now starting to prepare for the MCAS. Like I was starting to get ready. Like, these are the plans. I have to do this and start getting ready because by next year, that would be that time. And I just realized that I remember being in the lab dissecting animals or rats or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, this is not going to be me. I just didn't enjoy it. It was what I wanted to do. And you've been like, what?
No, I'm saying you've been having some ideas about other things at this point, or you had no idea?
I think because I had no idea that actually I did. Me arriving in America, I remember even like as soon as I got home, the first thing I did was put on BET and watch and digest it as much music videos as I could. You know, I've always been into like music and the visuals. So I think somehow I kind of felt like I wanted to be a part of that.
Okay.
So, and then being here, I remember driving. There was a day that we were going somewhere. At that time, I lived in Jersey, and we drove into the city. And as soon as we got onto the other side of the Holland Tunnel, a car drove by, and it was Tretch for Naughty by Nature, the same guy that was on the first magazine that I bought. And it just made me realize that everything was so close, that this is it. Like, this is where everything is. Like, this guy just drove by. Like, this is a guy that, I mean, I could call my friends like, yo, I saw Tretch. And I was like, so what if he was going by in his bands and like I only saw him for about 2 seconds, but that was so big.
You could have touched them.
Yeah, and that, well, not really, but that made me realize that I was in the middle of it all. And
so what was the first step in becoming or entering the music business, the music industry?
I don't remember exactly who linked me with the first production that I worked on, but I knew that I started telling everybody what I was trying to do. Like, I just put it out there into the universe. Then one day, someone referred me to someone who knew someone that was working on a movie. It was a very small, low budget movie. And I went on as a production assistant. I didn't know nothing. I just went on, and after like 2 days, I started to understand like that whole dynamic of being on set. And I made a lot of friends of that. So after that was done, everybody went their separate ways. But because I was connected, or I connected to so many people on the next project that they were working on, they were like, yeah, we know this guy that would do it for free. So they brought me on and started building from that.
So you started learning, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, definitely. They threw me. You could learn a lot when you're sweeping floors and serving coffee on a set. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you learned that helps you sort of take the next, forward steps?
Honestly, how to talk to people, how to deal with people. Because with that, the one thing I learned was being around. I mean, I started working on music video sets with like people like Mariah, people like Janet Jackson, like people that were like, to us, they were like gods.
How old are you at this time we're talking?
I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
So imagine being around that, and very early, I learned to not be, or to play my position and not be, like that person that's like, up till now, I never really jumped on and tried to take pictures or like be cool. Like, I was there to play a role, and people noticed that. So now if I'm working with people, I mean, I could walk in, like, there's probably like 2 people that would have got me really nervous, where like I would have had to ask for a picture. And I think I got one. That was with Jada Pinkett. And then maybe Prince. Definitely Prince.
So you got a picture with Jada?
It was Jada. She was not in a picture mood that day, but I don't know. She took one with me. She was very pregnant with Jaden.
Where did your love for Jada come from?
I don't know. She was cool. I mean, I don't know. Ask any young man from my generation. We love Jada. I just saw me and her, like her whole vibe and attitude, you know.
I want to do a quick shout out to everybody who's watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us today. Drop in the comments where you're at. Drop in the comments a question for Chair, or, you know, a story that you want to hear. Anything that you've seen of his work that you have questions about. Drop it in the comments. All right. So Jada and Prince, you're learning how to talk to people. And when did you start taking photographs on the sets?
I've always, one of my first videos, I still remember having pictures from that. That was the Mace video, Feels So Good, that we shot in Vegas. That was a video where, I'll tell you a little backstory. I used to hang out at that point, I used to hang out at Big Dog Films, which was Hype Williams' production company, while they were prepping for like all his many videos. Because back then he was doing like multiple videos a week. So he would have like different productions going on. And I just went there so much that I would show up, and the receptionist at this point, she would just let me in. Like, I would just go to everybody, like, and just try to get on. But it was always so cliquish because the jobs were so high profile that people would only mess with people they worked with and people that they trusted.
Okay.
And with the Mace video, being that that was happening in Vegas, and I think the producers at that point, they didn't really have a crew over there. And I think I must have begged them so much that they said, hey, if you want, you know, if you show up, we got you. You can intern for us. And that was all they had to say. I had nowhere to stay. I actually thought I was just, in my head, I was thinking I would just stay at the airport and go to set every day. I don't know where I was going to shower, but I just knew I was going to just go there. I just had to be there. And what happened was the lady was like, you know what? If you come, we'll get you a place. And the place was like on the floor in someone's hotel room with like 2 other people. But I was so
you were happy.
I got to shower. Excuse my French. I got to shower and I got to sleep. You know, that was it. And on that day, on that job, I remember having a little camera with me because me going out there, even that came from so far. You want to document things. At least with me, like I've always looked at images and I wanted to like capture those things. I wasn't supposed to. And also back then, like people didn't have cameras. We didn't have camera phones. A lot of people didn't even have phones at that point. We had SkyTel pages. Yeah. So I just started taking pictures from them, and it just got more and more. And I became the guy that like people knew if they wanted a picture with someone, they'll call me real quick. And eventually, actually, Hype started knowing that like I would take pictures and give the directors. So I'll take pictures of them, behind the scenes of them and the artists. So obviously they enjoyed having me around because of that.
I can't wait to publish this book.
Yeah, me too.
This book of your photographs, NOR Press only, right? Let's pinky swear.
We have projects to do.
We got mad projects. It's going to be a lot of
fun.
We have
exclusives between you and I.
Oh yes, I'm excited.
Definitely.
I'm excited. I was just looking at some of your old photos that you sent me. I want older ones. I want even older ones. We're gonna dig through these boxes because
I can find some.
What's the secret to getting somebody to let you take their picture?
Asking them. What do you mean? In what sense?
See, it's easy for you. You don't even think about it.
There was
for an amateur photographer like myself, I went to Cuba one time and I took this class on street photography. You just, pull up the camera and just shoot. But I'm not somebody who would be too hype about somebody just randomly taking my picture. And so when I think I want to take somebody's picture,
Me
You
either.
know, but it seems
Actually,
like it's been easy for you.
I almost get insulted and angry when people take my pictures because I'm like, what are you doing? But, and then I'm like, I'm a photographer. I'm more, and we have two ways. You can go and ask somebody, like, have a conversation with them. If you're friendly, which I am, like, I have no problems talking to people. And once you build that rapport, you can now say, hey, do you mind if I take a picture? And they're like, yeah, yeah, go ahead. But some people prefer completely unposed pictures, which means that they can't let you know that they're about to take your picture. I actually see these guys now, like they have a bunch of these guys. You see them in the city, like they'll come up to you and right in your face, boom, with the flash and all. Yeah, it's a thing. Like they want to get that. Yeah, it's a thing.
And they're not getting attacked?
I've always, honestly, I shouldn't say this, but I've always felt like if that was me, I might punch somebody.
I mean, I definitely would.
Like a violation. And they'll do it and just walk away. And they don't even say nothing. Like I've seen these guys like right there on Prince and Broadway, at least like not now, but last year when it was crowded and busy. Once the light changes and people are crossing, they'll just come in right in the middle of the thing, boom, in your face with the flash. Like they want that reaction.
So let's go back to Vegas, taking photographs on the set. Hype Williams. What were some of the crazy projects that you worked on early on? You were telling me about that $2 million video with Janet Jackson and Busta.
I think it was 2.8. He did
2.8 million.
Yes.
All the things Jackson. I could do with that money, man.
Yeah, I don't know. What? Like,
where did that money go to? What does 2.8 million go to in a music video?
Well, a lot. Like, for example, the sets. Like, if you watch that video back, it was a lot of crazy sets that we actually on that video. I was in the art department, so I was involved in building those sets. Like there was a lot of sets that we had to build. Like they had scenes with the walls moving in and out, and all those things were not done in post. They were all built. I remember that one last set that the walls were moving. We worked on that till they yelled action, meaning it wasn't done. It probably wasn't even done, but we just worked until we couldn't work anymore because the walls were silver. And the thing with that was we had this metallic place that we had to stick on, so like all these wooden pieces, and it kept dropping. It kept falling down, and we were like, I hope this doesn't happen during the take. But luckily, everything went smoothly. It's things like that. Another one that I really enjoyed was the Missy Elliott video. That was She's a Bee. That one was shot at the Universal Studios. That was also my first time in LA. I remember that too. So that was big. D'Angelo.
Okay.
That the video. Well, actually, I did a bunch of videos with him, but that one where he was naked and they had a lot of stories about what was going on.
Can we just watch that? Can we just stop and go watch that real quick? Come back to the interview.
Why?
Now that you brought it to my mind. Okay, yeah. So what did you shoot? What was your involvement on that project?
I was actually assisting. I was a production assistant.
Okay, but you got some photos of him backstage, behind the scenes.
No, that was like, I mean, the man was naked.
Wait. Let's talk about D'Angelo's nakedness.
There was no videos. There was no photos to be taken.
Why not? If he's on video.
Yeah. But that was a long day.
It was only a 1-day shoot.
Yeah, but it was at least like we started probably at 6 or 5. I probably started at 5 in the morning.
Okay.
And we walked past midnight.
What did you do in the course of that day?
getting in, setting up. I did everything. I always did everything. I helped every single department, you know. I wanted to know everything that was involved with making these videos. So as a production assistant, your job is to, in that job, I remember I had to go pick up food and the director's food and his crew. I remember that was the first time that I went to Mr. Chow's, which was like this big restaurant in New York. And we had so much food that I must have tipped them at least $100 and something. And that was just for takeout, but it was that much stuff. Like, I don't even think at that point I had ever spent that much on food, not to talk about
the tip.
Yeah. I was a $2 tipper.
I see Oluwaseye Production Studios in your future.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, we got some questions in the chat. What's up?
Oh, someone asked about the Jay-Z and Damon Dash reunion.
I was just about to say, we got some questions in the chat. That's from Alexis. Shout out to Alexis, our new interim CMO. What up? What up? So yeah, talk about that reunion.
That was very interesting because it was a good friend of a mutual friend and a friend of mine, Shaka. It was her birthday, and everybody, she's like Jay's right-hand woman. Like, everybody loves her, but she also is Jay, Dame, everybody. Like, everybody loves Shaka. So it was her birthday, and they had convinced Dame to come through, and he was gonna do it for Shaka, and then Jay was obviously gonna be there, and that was the first time they had seen each other in a while. So it was and everyone knew that, not everyone, but the main people knew that they were both gonna be there.
Okay.
So it was a little bit awkward. I knew it was gonna happen. So I was getting ready and prepared. So as soon as he got downstairs, we got radio that he was here and I should get ready, and the rest was history. Like, they looked, it's like there's all these people around. We're not gonna, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? It was just quick, like, what you been up to? Hey, let's catch up, blah, blah, blah. And that was it.
How long had they not been talking or seeing each other at that point?
How
long had they not been speaking at that point, if you remember?
Probably a couple of years.
Okay.
And after that, like, we actually thought that things would be like back to normal. But it takes two to make things work, man.
Were there a lot of photographers that got that shot? Those shots?
No, those kind of events.
How many people got those photos?
Probably just me.
Huh?
Just me. When I think about it, because the only people that would have had cameras in that room would be me and Lenny S, who is he's Jay's. He works with Jay. He's worked with Rockefeller, and he's in management there now at Rock Nation. So he has captured and shot everything about Jay since the beginning. So he has books of it. He's actually releasing a book very soon. So he's been at all the studio sessions. He's been at all the different countries. He's been on all the private jets. Like, he has
the whole Jay biography.
So he would have had his camera there, but that's it. They kept, like, those were very, very private events. I remember talking about that. I remember talking about how many cameras. There was a time that they had a birthday for Beyonce at the Soho House. It was on the rooftop by the pool. It was at night, like, it was an all-white party. Everybody wore white. And I was the only one taking pictures. So I went home. And I got a call at 7 in the morning, like, bro, what the F? The pictures are out. Who did you give the pictures to? And I was scared because I didn't give the pictures to anybody. So I went online And to my relief, I saw myself in the pictures. So clearly, there was a guy, a paparazzi guy from across the street from the Gansevoort Hotel shooting
with a telescope.
Yeah, basically. That was a scary one. But that was, in cases like that, yes, you have other cameras, but just not, you know. They would go to great lengths to get those images.
So where are those photos now? Yours?
All the photos I take in situations like that, I end them in.
Okay.
And that's why up to this day, like I have images that, I mean, I have them, but they're going to stay there because I was hired to do those. Like it was work for hire. And okay. I was trusted to be in these people's homes. You know, I've been in their homes taking pictures, filming stuff. And those pictures would never come out unless they ask for them to.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I've done people's weddings that Beyonce was walking around barefooted, having a great time. I mean, it was like a small wedding. It was Jay's best friend's wedding, you know, like those kind of things. Like those are very private moments that will stay private.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to acknowledge everybody in the comments. Thank you for everything you've shared so far, Shea. And thank you everybody who's watching. When we were talking about, you know, the Busta Janet song, Olawale, what's up, Wale? That's my ALCC choir member. What up, fam? He said he played that song over 20,000 times when it came out. Uzo said she loved that song as well. Evan, we got Evan from Jersey watching. So,
hey guys.
Special moments, private events, production company. When did you start seeing African artists come up on the scene?
Yes, the first case was probably, I mean, every now and then, like you would go places and see the Sean Kutis, you know, who would do like the festivals. But as far as Afrobeats, the first guy that reached out to me was probably D'banj. And he was in London at that time. He was just starting out, and they were trying to do collabos with American artists, like people like Fabulous, and trying to see if I could link them with those guys, which I tried. But at that point, these guys had no interest with doing anything with, you know, Africans.
What were some of the other early artists that came up after D'banj into your ecosystem?
They owned it. You know, it was D'banj, Don Jazzy, P Square. It was just those guys. What's Yahooze guys? What was that?
I don't remember their name. Yahoo. Yeah. You know? I don't remember their name.
We had who else back then? Those were the main guys, you know. Oh, of course, we had Nice. We had Nice. We had Two Face. Yeah.
So and, you shot
the legend, Lagbaja.
Lagbaja. Did you ever get to see Lagbaja's face?
Yeah, I did. That was weird.
Oh shit. So, okay. For those who don't know, wait, funny story. Wait, you're gonna tell a story. You're gonna tell a story in a minute. But for those who don't know, Lagbaja is this Yoruba Nigerian artist who wears a mask and everything. And Lagbaja means, translate what Lagbaja means for the people, because you're a proper Yoruba speaker. Let me not mess it up.
I'll let you do that. I'll let you do that.
Shaya, stop, I beg. But it means, it references mystery. It references somebody who's unknown, like unknown person. Am I getting it right?
I hope so.
What was it? Tell us the story. Tell us the story about seeing Lagbaja's face.
Okay, give me a second. What does it mean? I was just trying to Google it. Anyway, so I was contacted. I think I was linked at that time by a friend, OBS Seeker, who linked us because Lagwaja was trying to do a music video out here in America. So he reached out to me and he wanted to meet up. Okay. So I was like, cool. So we met up at Starbucks. You know, I walked in, I was looking around. I don't know what I was expecting.
Were you looking for the mask?
I was looking for Lagwaja, you know. And someone like obviously saw me looking, so he waved and I went. And I just remember staring like, dude, you're normal.
What does he look like?
It looked like he could have been your professor in college. Like he just looked cool and normal.
Okay.
Like I just could not get that over my head. Like, wow, this is you. Like he could walk anywhere and you would never know. Like it wasn't like it was just like normal.
Is that why he wears the mask? So that he can have a normal life? Probably.
I mean, he was so big that imagine as big as he was, if he had been that same person with his mask off, he would not have a percentage of the freedom that he gets walking around town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look at what they did to Fela, right? Okay, so we had all these African artists coming into the city trying to make films or trying to make videos in the States, working with people like you. Nobody was really interested in working with African artists. And now we have a whole African music ecosystem, stratosphere that, you know, it's exploded. What do you think is responsible for that? When did the pieces of that start to come together in your sight?
One of the first people that really started to make that connection to make it happen, I have to give him credit, was probably Nato C, who at that time was signed to Storm, who had Ikechukwu and a bunch of other artists. And they started it, but it didn't really go anywhere until a few years after. And I think it's the people like the Davidos, who at this point, they spent so much time in America that they were influenced. A bunch of like the newer generation.
Okay.
A lot of their influences were from here. So they had the same vibe. Like they dress like them. They go to the clubs and like they blend right in. They're wearing the same amount of jewelry. They like, and the music is fly. I remember the first main song that really crossed over was, I remember hearing that song and knowing that, okay, we've made it. Oliver Twist, the band. That was like the first song that took it over.
Okay, I give you that. I'm not a fan of the song, but I give you that.
That was the song that like they were playing at the malls in England. That was a song that was being played on the radio. That was a song that had Kanye West in the video at the end. Yeah.
Talk about this intersection of African music and Black American diaspora music and these collaborations. What do you think of the sort of journey that it took to get to this place where you have African, you know, a lot of African artists as mainstream now, going to BET Awards, Grammy Awards. What do you think that took? And also, how do you feel about the dynamic between the two worlds of music?
I think it started making sense because a lot of these guys, when they go to Africa, because they started doing more tours in Africa, and when they go, these people were open for them. Our African artists were open for them, and like they saw the kind of reception that these guys were getting. Some of them were like I'm the big guy from America and I'm here, but these guys are getting way more love than me. And obviously also the music, the people here, like we wanted to hear a lot more of that stuff. So we started requesting it, and with the whole internet thing, it made it easier. Like with those songs. And so when these guys come here now, we would go to the shows, and that just started spreading. And
where did you start? How did you find your Naija faves in those days? How did you find Naija music?
I mean, I was kind of involved at that point.
So people were giving you CDs and stuff?
Yeah, I would get, I had people in London, I had people in Lagos that would I would get music. People that were trying to do videos, you know, I had people like Nice. So a lot of times it never went through, but they would reach out, they would send me new music, and we'll go through it. And yeah.
And who would you send their stuff to? Or what would you do with the stuff if you liked it? No, you said you tried to get, you know, more visibility for these artists. I'm curious, what did you do with the music that you liked that came to your hands?
No, if they wanted to do collabos, I would probably reach out to people that I knew in management.
Okay.
The artists, A&R guys from the record labels, people that I've worked with. And I'm not sure if they ever passed it on or not, but it just was not of interest to them. They didn't know what to do with it. Like now, everybody knows that Davido. Everybody knows that Wizkid. You know, Tiana Taylor just dropped an album. I mean, like she has songs with Davido, you know. And
so you said, go ahead.
No, go on.
You said the tide turned when Kanye West ran into D'banj in the airport.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, D'banj ran up to him and it let him know, hey, I'm D'banj. No, he ran that whole spiel because I remember from the people that I knew in the camp, he saw they were at the airport, and I think it might have been Dubai or somewhere like that, and they were both there in the same show. And the band went up, and he played him some music, and Kanye, I think, instantly he fell in love with the beats. And I remember him asking about who made this beat, you know, on Jazzy, and he was just like, "Hey, let's link." That was it.
So whatever happened with that relationship other than the Oliver twist?
Well, he had he flew Don Jazzy. I won't say he flew him down, but Don Jazzy was in New York, and like they linked up and like they started to work together. He actually worked on. They did some songs on the Throne album, on the Jay-Z and on the Jay-Z and Kanye album.
Okay.
Yeah, they worked on that. I mean, he was. I mean, like they had a deal at that point. They had a deal and stuff that they were working on. Excuse that. Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I just feel like a lot of these, you know, these African artists come across and everybody's really hype about, you know, this, you know, the American artists working with them, but I don't really see much happen after that other than
we don't need that anymore.
Well, of course.
Not needed. I feel like we now have, at this point, I feel like they should focus on the different genres of music that we have now. Because it's not just Nigeria, it's the whole of Africa. Like, we have enough music to satisfy both the people on that continent and people around the world. We now have our own like festivals, etc., etc. Yeah.
So what do you think is the future of African music and maybe this intersection with Africa and the States? What would you like to see happen?
It's gonna keep getting bigger. I mean, I just don't know what the next thing, like with the whole freeze that we're having now, who knows what's gonna happen after like everybody gets free and all the music they've been making.
Do you have an exit plan? Are you heading home when there's an opening? Are you gonna stick it out?
No, I mean we're not running. We'll be going back and forth. We're not running. We're here.
Okay.
We're here We're here to fight it out.
So, and watching a lot of behind the scenes, artist journeys, you've seen a lot of people start from nothing and blow up, right? You've seen a lot of early stage artists. And so I'm curious what you think it takes, what does it take to make it as an artist? And start with that.
At this point, you just need to come out. You just need to do something. You have to be true to yourself. Because I see a lot of people, once someone makes it, there's not like another 20 or so artists that want to be just like that person. Like now, like I've heard a lot of artists, a lot of new music that sounds like
You frozen or you thinking real hard?
Are you there? Okay, cool. You said what?
From my end, it looked like you were either frozen or thinking really, really hard.
No, you too. Like I kind of lost like a little scrolling. At some point, I feel like if you look now, all the guys in the past year that came out, like the Naira Marleys and people like that, they've just always had their own vibes. The one thing that I don't like, and I don't know if I should be saying that here, but we should not. I see a lot of these guys trying to be American now. And that's really like, I had a favorite artist who's like a Yoruba. He does more like a lot of Yoruba stuff within his music. I'm not going to name no names, but then recently he's dropping music that sounds like a complete trap album.
Wow.
And that truly.
Wow.
Yeah, that's scary. We should just do us. And
who's your favorite?
I don't mind being inspired by what you do. For example, like the guys coming out of England, I love their music. And you can see that they've been inspired by like a lot of those vibes around there. And the guys in America too, the same thing. Just don't forget, like don't try to do trap music with Yoruba. Like take it and do your version of it.
Who's your favorite artist? What do you listen to in the bathtub?
Myself, I don't know. Who do I listen to? It changes a lot.
Do you have a go-to album? What are you listening to right now?
Right now, the last thing that it's a lot of British guys, a lot of British music.
I'm really into British music, so that's hilarious. I think British artists are way, way, way better than.
I mean, these are like the Niger boys too. Like Heady One is a rapper out of there.
Say his name again.
Heady One.
Heady One. Okay.
Yeah, you might not be into that, but also, Jacob Banks, you will love him.
What? Jacob Banks. Let me write it down.
Jacob Banks is actually he's out of London. He is really, really good. And he's an Ibadan boy.
He sings in Yoruba?
No, it sings like he's like, and this is big guys to live up to, but you have Sade, you have Sil, and now you have Jacob Banks.
You see my daughter running in and out?
Yeah. Like
who does that? I'm live on Facebook, my friend.
I don't care.
Go on. So what else?
So let me ask you about, you photographed so many. Say that again.
I like your room.
Thank you.
The wallpapers and all that. Fancy. Okay, go on.
That's not what I would call it, but okay. I would go. Let's go with that. You photographed so many people. Who have you not photographed that you really, really want to?
Prince.
Oh, okay. Somebody who's alive. Let's do that.
I don't. There's quite a few. I like new. I love music, so a lot of the new artists that come out, like you always find people that you want to shoot. Like even like the Jacob Banks guy that I just mentioned. You know, like people like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to have a proper shoot with Beyonce. Definitely. And I will.
Amen.
Maybe I'll do our next Adidas campaign.
Amen. We receive it. What's next for you? Huh?
What's next for me? I'm setting up a new studio for my portrait work, you know, because with the past 3 months, I've focused on setting that up and going in and doing more portraits and more portraits and things like that. Like that picture in the background that I see on your screen.
Yeah.
That was done in my studio.
What makes, I feel like your photographs, there's something about your photographs. They just come alive. And I remember, I never forget how you said one time that somebody told you, or somebody asked you, you know, your photos are so great. What camera do you use? And you said it was the same thing as if you say, you know, your soup is so good. What kind of pot do you use?
Yeah.
Do you remember saying that?
True. Yeah. And I feel like that because it's like, yeah, like you can't tell a chef that, yo, your food is so good. What stove do you use? Like the best camera is the one in your hand. And I really, people say that all the time, but I've had a situation where I went to shoot an event, which was like the Labor Day parade, like on Eastern Parkway. And I got my bags, I got everything. This was like 2 years ago. I got everything and I had to walk because like there was no trains near it. It was like 6 a.m. Everything was blocked off. And you had to get through all this barricades and you couldn't take bags in. And there was only one place that you could have gotten with your bag. So I now had to walk like another 2-3 miles. I finally got in. I was ready to start shooting. And I realized that I left my batteries on a charger at home. So I had this heavy bag with nothing. And I just started using my phone. And honestly, you could not tell the difference because I shot it like I had my real camera. Like I was doing like the same angles. I was on the floor. Like I was taking pictures and people were looking at me like, bro, why so serious?
Like it's just a phone.
Yeah, like why so serious? But I just used it like I would shoot normally. And I got some great images.
We got 2 minutes left, but I still want to get my questions in.
Go on.
How did you learn? How did you learn photography?
Oh, I have one guy. I have to give him credit because I learned through a lot of ways. I have a lot of guys that I was around, a lot of greats, but the one person, his name is Alan Ferguson. He's a director and music video director. He's a photographer and a director. He was actually, until recently, he was married to Solange.
Okay.
So I remember him taking me into his office one time. And back in those days, like he directed Jay-Z videos. His biggest videos and nowadays are like, he's done a lot of videos for Janelle Monáe, like really cool videos. His most recent one was a video he did with, gosh, you're gonna kill me. She's the really, wow, I sound real corny right now. She's a really big girl. That's like
Lizzo?
the big, what?
Not Lizzo?
Yeah, Lizzo.
Okay.
He just did her most recent video. But Alan took me into his office one time and he showed me this different cameras and he showed me art books and he was telling me like I was looking at art and the way lights and shadows. Nobody ever taught me that. Not the people that I had around. So he really made me look at things differently. And that's probably why I have so many photography and art books now. And that was how I learned. I used to just buy rows and rows of film and go shoot and develop them and wait like 2-3 days and see where I went wrong and then go back and reshoot it. But I definitely owe him a lot.
You used to develop your own film?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Professor Olusa.
I wish we had time. Like, I wish we had time.
We got lots of time, my love. We got lots of time. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again very soon. Okay, I have to ask you. You know, you were telling me about what you would love to do, the project you want to do about Black women, and how you want to go back home.
Alan is great. He really is. He's one of the realest people out there. I'm just reading the comments.
Oh.
Yeah, really, like, he definitely had an impact in my life. And I tell him that, I have to tell him that the next time I see him. I have to email him, let him know that. Okay, go on.
That's so beautiful. No, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the other projects that you want to work on and touch it, you know, with everything that's happening right now. How do you feel about what's happening right now? You were telling me about this thing you want to do on Black women. What is your, what is your take on this moment?
I love Black women. And I just I've been thinking for a long time of just a way to give back and to try to like amplify their voices, because like we have a lot of situations going on now where like our women, sometimes they feel like they're not acknowledged enough, they're not respected enough, and they're not, you know, they're just not been given their due. So I want to be involved in any way I can to amplify their voice and to use the talents and the skills that I have to contribute to that. So I have one particular project where I want to photograph and just do like a bunch of sessions and just try to bring this beauty out and also interview them and just share their different experiences. And hopefully people, a lot of like these young girls can see what all these people that have made it, look at them and learn from their stories and understand that they can do that too. That there's no ceilings. Like you can be whatever you want to be. Like I have friends who have achieved their utmost, like my friend Ethiopia, who is the president of Motown, and she's African. You know, she started from the very like beginning to now. At some point, she had 2 labels that she was the president of at the same time. You know, those are like the kind of people that I want to show, and there's so many of them. I want their voices to be heard.
Wow. Yeah, that's all Nor Press. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about that. That sounds amazing. What does Black liberation mean to you, Shaya? And you got to tell the people what your name means before you get off of this show, and tell them how to say it, and not the Brooklyn way to say it, the Ibadan way to say it.
It's Oluwaseye.
And what does it mean?
If you ask me, I would probably say, I'm sure there's someone here that's more Yoruba that like, no, it's this and that. To me, I always tell people it means God's blessing. Oluwaseye, like God made this. Like, and I try to live up to that and just be a blessing to every life that I touch, you know. I hope I've been a blessing to you.
You've been a blessing to me. I didn't even talk about how you took the photo. Go buy Market of Dreams. If you haven't bought my poetry book yet, Shaya took the photo. Shaya has just held me down in so many ways at so many times. I can't even begin to list them all off. So you know I love you. What does Black liberation mean to you?
Yep. You know, you say I'm trying to avoid it. I keep dancing around that. That was the one that I wish you let me know.
You got this. You got this. Think about it. Okay. The other way you could answer it is, what would you do with $10 million to advance Black liberation? Or a blank check?
If I had, I don't know about Black liberation, but if I had that money, I would definitely invest it into starting some kind of programs or schools across the continent to help there's kids who might have never had the opportunities to find out what they want to do in life. But meaning back when we were growing up, like if someone had helped me, I would have been doing this way longer. But when we were growing up, this wasn't an option. And that's why I went on the path to med school. I want to give these kids, get them cameras, get them musical instruments, and get them these things that they can start early. And not just, even like the programs that they have now, it's like, if you're rich, you can afford it. Like in Nigeria, if you're rich, your parents can get you in those programs. I want to find that next whiz kid that may not have the money, but can sing these tunes in his head, and he just wants to know how to put it down. Like let's get those people and let's embrace them, and let's start investing in our arts and culture, because we're losing it. And our rich people, the elders and the people in Nigeria, are not really, until recently, we've not really been embracing that part of our culture. If it's not Ori, they don't understand it.
If it's not what?
Oi.
Oi.
Oil, like, oil and gas.
Oh, oil. Yeah. That's a whole other episode. All right, last question. Yeah. What's your secret sauce? What's the secret to your success?
Be a great person. Be a good person. Be good. Be so good that, I don't know, like, obviously, obsession. You have to be obsessed with what you're doing. Like, I'm obsessed with this. This is what I want to do. But I also try to live, make people feel good in a way that when people will fight on your behalf when you're not in the room. I had a situation recently that something happened and someone was like, and my name came up, and someone was like, would you stand up for him? And they were asking that of Kemi Adetiba, and she was like, hell yeah. Like, she was like, I would fight for him. And that really, it touched me in a way, because the people that I'm around, like, that's how I feel about them, And my father, like, it's the way we were raised. My father is always like, never, ever disgrace your family name, Always hold that up. Always, wherever you go, always lift that name up. I hope that answers your question.
That does answer my question. I'm trying to see if I could share some of your photos as we close out. I'm going to just be a little ratchet and share my screen, because I want people to see your stuff. It's just too dope. So hold on.
I could probably talk about some of them if you want.
Say that again?
I could probably talk about some of them if you want.
Okay. We just gonna break the box, break the time box. All right, let's see how it goes. Tell me if you can see. If you can see. Okay, here we go. Boom.
Nope.
What do you see?
Oh, Black Rob and Diddy. I think that was Barclays. That was the tour that they had recently, about 2 years ago, the Bad Boy reunion tour. And this was actually this particular day was on Biggie's birthday.
Wow.
So March 13th, 2 years ago.
Wow.
And everybody was on that show.
Do you see another photo?
Not yet.
How about now?
I see us.
Okay. I'm going to share it again.
You gotta go. Let's go quicker.
What do you see?
Oh, this was part of a campaign I did for this designer named Queen. We actually shot this in my living room.
Wow.
A while ago, yeah. It was real tight, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do. Oh,
Can you
I'm gonna
not
do
just
one
open
more.
them all at the same time and then scroll?
I don't know how to do that.
If you click
You
on
see
all of
Wally? No? Okay, hold on.
if you click on all of them,
This one.
Wale, our Niger boy, go check out his new project. He actually just released another EP last week.
Mm.
And he spoke a lot about what's going on, like the protests and things like that.
Okay.
He's really underrated. And within it, there was a part where he played like some Yoruba music. I really enjoyed that.
Mm.
I like him as an artist.
Okay. We're gonna do this again very soon. Thank you, Shaya. Everybody who watched, thank you. I appreciate y'all. Say that again.
I said, that's it. You had so many pictures. All right.
Yeah, but we're 12 minutes over. And we
All right.
African, we on African time, but we're gonna post a lot of them on our Instagram stories. So if you don't already follow NorPress, go follow NorPress on Instagram. We'll be sharing a lot of his images there. And we're gonna do a series of articles about his photos and his work as a photographer. So stay close. Shaya is about to be our director of photography at NorPress too. So you heard it here first. We're gonna have a lot of fun together.
No. No, thanks. It's a pleasure.
I love you. I love you. I wish I could give you a big hug, but this is gonna have to do for now.
Taking it.
We'll talk soon. Everybody who watched, just stay connected. Join our mailing list so you can hear all the dope shit we're about to drop in the near future. All right. We love you. Eat your greens, take your vitamin C. Love yourself. Self first. Love on your peoples. Be well. This is our world. All right. Peace.
Amen. Peace.